Yeah, I mean, I think I can only comment in the context of OneSavings Bank and the work that we've done, but I think in the context of the DNA that we've got as a business, portfolio landlords and buy-to-let is key to what we do. So I think we're ready. There is new documentation coming in, but the guys have looked at similar bits of information before. They know how to assess a portfolio. They know how to look at it. So I think in the context of the specialists, us in particular, I would say yes, we are ready for the change from the 1st of October. The journey that we've taken has been one about taking the underwriters, all key stakeholders in the bank along this journey. So with regards to new documentation, what does it look like? What do you need to look for? How does the pragmatism work in the underwrite? If someone's got 4 versus 444, how are you going to assess that case? So there's been lots of work done internally to make sure that we apply the correct approach from 1st of October. But I would say for us as a business, yes. For the wider cohorts, I think it's interesting about some of the information that we're getting feeding to market, which sort of indicates people aren't necessarily applying the specialism in the same way. So there is a little bit of a disconnect now between certain lenders on the interpretation of the rules, which I think is, to be frank, unhelpful, because I think it makes it slightly more difficult for brokers to understand what good looks like in the context of submission. So,
but it keeps them in a job.
It does indeed.
I think one of the issues for me will be the variety of stuff that's out there means you're going to be valuable, and I think that's going to be one of the key parts of this for me.
I think undoubtedly for brokers it'll increase the amount of work, obviously. There are a lot of brokers out there who, to be fair with professional landlords, have had a lot of experience and do a lot of this anyway. So we've always gone through spreadsheets, we've always collated them for our clients, and we've always gone through them. And in effect, the discussions you have has been like formulating a business plan. So that's not too much of an issue. But it's definitely a lot more paperwork. It's definitely interpretation from all the different lenders and trying to understand where it fits, which lenders do what, is going to be very time consuming. And the days of getting a simple AIP and then going forward really easy are long gone. I think charging from brokers will change. I think brokers will start charging more fees on a buy-to-let case. Potentially there's charging in terms of actually an annual fee or an ongoing basis rather than actually a transactional basis. So I'll charge you a certain amount per annum and we'll charge you no separate fees per transaction, but we'll manage your portfolio and all your needs throughout that year. So that might be an increase where that concerns.
And John, from your perspective, how do you see this change in terms of time and cost playing out?
I can probably only echo what Monty said there. I think brokers, if they're not already charging for buy-to-let business, which they should be, really should be looking at the spread of their clients' portfolios and either coming up with a charge per hour, because looking at the capabilities of the buy-to-let hub, there's still going to be a lot of serious amount of work done before you get to the submission stage. So if you are looking at 400 plus properties or something like that, then an hourly charge would, for me, seem to be the best business decision to make. Or, you come up with a scale of charges based upon the number of properties in a portfolio. So, yeah, I think the days of a broker relying on the proc fee to get properly remunerated in this sector are going to diminish, and it should be more about the work, the advice and the expertise that the broker brings to the relationship and to the transactions.
I think, as I said in the sort of presentation, I think it's that moving away from individual transactions to the sort of partnership approach with your clients. Because I think Jim mentioned the fact that you can begin to build up the portfolio before you submit to a lender. I do think you end up in a place where you do look at the sort of trust equation over how the dynamics of a relationship potentially will change over time. So I think there are opportunities there for people who want to explore that level of detail. And
John, from your perspective, any other opportunities in that area?
I think there's going to be lots of opportunities for brokers because they're bringing the expertise to the whole transaction. I thought it was interesting the point you brought up earlier, Richard, and one of your slides there about the changes that are coming up. Was it 29% think more cases are going to be rejected?
Yes.
I mean, that to me is quite a negative view of what's happening in the market. I think there's going to be lots of opportunities for brokers, and I think there's going to be brokers are going to be central to the whole transaction process now, and it's going to be a lot more work for brokers, but I do think they're going to sit right bang centre in the middle and be the ones best placed to take advantage of the opportunities these changes represent.
Do you think, John, that might be whether or not how many lenders actually want to play in the portfolio market going forward? So the perception is not necessarily that, it's whether or not there will be enough of a critical mass to serve the portfolio market once 1st of October kicks in.
Yeah.
Because there is a mix at the moment over whether some lenders are in, they're out, are they lending or they're not lending. The specialist guys have come out and said, do you know what, we're in the main in, but some of the sort of more prime plain vanilla type lenders I think the jury's still slightly out. So I just wonder if that perception is a manifestation of lenders not committing to portfolio and to a level of detail. But
you're right. I think with some of the more residential type lenders who have in the past few years entered into the buy-to-let market, I think some of those are almost doing a wait-and-see type approach. And I think with some of the announcements we've seen from those sorts of lenders, very, very cautious. And I think, as you pointed out as well, seem to be interpreting portfolio in different ways. So I think there's going to be polarisation from the lenders going forward, and it will become even more polarised, I think, over the next 12 months.
Yes, it's definitely a bit of a hokey-cokey market at the moment. Some are in, some are out, some are not really sure, some are just shaking it about. But yeah, it's really hard to get that clarity as a broker, and the interpretation is so different. Some lenders, some are Aldermore coming out with 11 properties. Where did that come from? So it's quite strange at the moment.
I go back to talking to people who designed this and asking where they got 4 from. And the thing they hung it on was a bit of research that came from 1989. Believe it or not. The Bank of England relied on a bit of 1989 research to quant it 4. I actually don't believe that. I think this was about much more around trying to get a scoping level to define a market that was about where can I draw a line about taxation and control and data. And I think this is more about trying to make this, which is a government aim, about making this a more professional market that's sustainable in the long term regarding privately owned buy-to-let or privately owned rental property. And this is very much a more political issue that's running through here rather than anything technical, I think, in the way that it's being looked at. So we'll see how that plays out.